The following content is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition.
You're listening to the Everyday Therapy Podcast. I'm JC Rader.
And I'm Julianne Schroeder.
And we're therapists bringing you honest conversations around emotional wellness and self-development.
Inspired by our personal experiences in therapy and because of our clients, we realize therapy has so much to offer both on and off the couch. Listen for tips and tools to navigate all the challenges that life throws your way.
To give us feedback on topics and guests, or for more information on our community events, counseling, or online services, contact us at everydaytherapypodcast.com. Hello, we are back this week, and let's get right into our sponsors. So, Lifeology is a group private practice that we both love. I was there for my training. That's how I became a counselor, is working through them. And they have locations in the heart of Dallas, and now they're spreading all over. So they're in Fort Worth, Cedar Hill, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Austin, Frisco, and like a few in Dallas. So they're all over, which is easy to find a counselor there. And they have at each location, up to 30 therapists. So you can find somebody who's like specific to you and like what you're seeking out. If it's anxiety or trichotillomania or relationship issues, whatever it is. And the best thing about them, I think, is their pricing. So they start off at $35 for like well-trained interns.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, hard to find that. So, and then they also have flexible times, early morning appointments, late evenings, and on weekends, which is also pretty amazing. So if you've ever thought about counseling, like definitely reach out to them. Like this is your chance to kind of start that process. And that's what we're all about here. So thankful to have them as a sponsor for us. Absolutely. And to work with them. And their theme is creative solutions to stuck problems. So they're not your typical therapist. They're out-of-the-box thinkers.
Yeah, I love how on their offices they have like their baby pictures of them.
Yes.
So it just like puts you at ease.
Yeah,
you know?
They're very like normal. They're just regular people. They're not like doctors or clinicians in that way, in that sense.
Yeah.
So,
but absolutely well trained.
Yes.
And as part of their creative solutions to stuck problems, they've created the Lifeology Institute for Psychotherapeutic Yoga.
That's a mouthful.
You give me credit every time I say that.
It
is. The Lispy School was created with this intention of bringing Eastern and Western ways of healing, addressing the mind and the body. And so the Lispy School's goal is to educate mental health professionals, other yoga teachers, or just regular people wanting to affect change with the mind-body. Through their 200-hour, yoga teacher programming. And they have a new cycle coming up in May, geared specifically towards therapists. So anybody in the Dallas area, if you're a mental health professional, a grad student, intern, you'll definitely want to check them out. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they're amazing. So let's get right into our topic today, which is values. We're talking values, which I'm so excited. We've been wanting to do an episode about values for a long time because it's so big in our lives, and I don't even think we realize it anymore because we've so integrated the idea into our world. But we talk about it with clients all the time. So it's a big technique that they use in ACT therapy.
Acceptance and commitment therapy.
Yeah, and it's all about like knowing what your values are and taking committed action on those values. And if you don't do that, like you were explaining it earlier, Julian, like what happens if you don't align with your values?
Yeah. If you are disconnected from your values, then it obviously like leads to some sort of distress. And you might not always be able to pinpoint it, but kind of feel just like maybe a sense of being lost or just not quite as fulfilled, or that like something isn't quite right.
Yeah.
But it'll eventually catch up to you.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to think of like a good example of that, like personally. I don't know if you can think of anything, Julian, of like when, you know, you haven't been in line with your values, like what that's looked like, what value was missing and that's looked like.
Yeah, I don't know if I can think of any. I mean, I'll get to some personal examples, but I think a common one is in career. So often, you know, there is this value in society placed on, you know, getting that paycheck, having that title. And then you'll see, you know, those midlife transitions where all of a sudden they want to work for a nonprofit, right?
Yeah.
Or just really do some work that is more fulfilling. So that's where I think.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, and I think for some, I just think about money in career. Like that's kind of like a cultural value, is to like make money, like be powerful, have money. And if that's not a value of yours, if that's not super important, of course you want to pay the bills.
Right.
But if your value is like feeling fulfilled at work or making a difference or achievement or whatever success looks like for you, and you're chasing a paycheck, then yeah, you're going to be miserable at work and burn out, and it's not going to feel good.
No. And I will just say, and you probably already think this too, that you can be fulfilled and make money.
Oh,
but
for sure.
Yeah,
that can be a value of yours, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just looking at, I guess, the motivation behind what you're doing and seeing if the presence of that is there.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. No, thank you for saying that, for sure.
Yeah. But should we, I guess, define what values and like knowing what that is?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So a value, I don't know, it's like so hard to define. And I think that's why, I don't know, like it's so like ingrained in me. How do you define it?
Yeah, I did not come up with this,
Yeah.
but just recycling. I like the idea of values kind of being a compass for us. So providing direction, letting us know that like our values are our north. They guide us in what's most important, and like to be able to move with that.
Yeah, I love that. I like the analogy that we were kind of talking about of like your values are maybe if north is your value, then your goal would be like a river or a mountain you wanted to see, something like along the way. But ultimately, like travel is your value or whatever that is. I like this. It says that values are your heart's deepest desires for how you want to behave as a human being. Values are not what you want to achieve or get out of life, but how you want to behave or act on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, basically what's most important to you.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, it allows you to kind of do an inventory of, am I showing up in that way?
Yeah. And values are different than your goals, or like how we talk about New Year's resolutions. Yeah. Like it would be I think we can set our goals based on our values.
Yeah.
Too. So I like that idea of like goals are important. Like goals are fun. Like they give you something to move towards, but like, is it based on that like biggest value that you have?
Right. Absolutely. Because I know one of my values is achievement, but what ranks higher than achievement is helping others.
Yeah.
And so if both aren't present, then I can easily get stuck in just trying to achieve something, but yet feel like it's kind of, empty.
Yes.
Right.
Like there's a void there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I just had a thought and it escaped me. So values are not goals. They also can change. change somewhat, don't you think?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think you can have like your main values that like maybe those aren't as flexible, right? Like almost like morals in a way. But yeah, I think values can ultimately be flexible and fluid depending on like where you are in life, right? Like my values are going to be very different like whenever I'm single and 25.
What might they be? Adventure. Yeah.
Yes, adventure and
Independence.
yeah, friendship, connection, versus if I'm like 40 and I have a family and my family is a value of mine. So yeah, I mean, that's just a good example how they can change, but yeah, it can change on a regular basis. It can be a good way to do like a life audit and reevaluate like, okay, what are my values? Why am I feeling so disconnected from myself or not aligned? Like maybe a value shifted or you're just not in line with them.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, permission for the values to evolve, right?
Yeah.
And I think another thing that gets in the way of feeling disconnected from our values is because we aren't very clear on what they actually are. Like we're choosing other people's values.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Like our parents, you know, like you grow up and our parents teach us so much and they show us like what's important to them. And so it's just kind of unconsciously passed down to us. And so it's like a reevaluation. Do I want to choose my parents' values or even like cultural values? What were some of the other?
Yeah, no, I love this exercise in teasing out like what are the other values that get muddied in and make it difficult to distinguish what yours are. So yeah, for anybody who wants to really kind of narrow down, you can jot down what your parents' values are, both your mom and your dad. I don't know, 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so thinking about your parents, what was most important to them?
Yeah.
And then if you are in a relationship, maybe a significant partner, or if you're not, like a significant friendship that influences you, then society, cultural values. And I would even say kind of like bring it back to locally too, because I think there's some variation.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Just thinking about all the different areas of Dallas.
Yeah.
How we have like East Dallas is like funky and Oak Cliff is like artsy and
Uptown is.
Uptown.
If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. That is something my mom taught me. Her value is kindness. Yes. Way to save that. And then I think you also break down a category of what your values are, and then another kind of life audit of, am I actually living to these values currently?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And even like maybe breaking it down to like, what values am I living right now? And what values do I want to be living?
Yeah.
Or I don't know how you would do that, but like being able to parse out like what's going on with you.
Yeah.
So I love that activity for people.
I'm curious, are there any values of your parents that you took on that you have shed?
Yeah, I think so. My dad was super career oriented and business oriented, and it was just like his whole world, and he was so good at it. He's like an amazing entrepreneur and businessman, and I've definitely like taken on like that entrepreneurial spirit. But another one of his values was money. Like money was just like really important. His parents grew up in the Great Depression, and so it was like very scarce.
Was it money or security?
I think it was a little bit of both, because
Okay.
he was a salesman, a jewelry salesman. And so there was like this high of
Yeah.
like getting the money, getting
for
the
sure.
sell. So
Yeah.
we could parse that out. Like there's probably more to it than that. Like money and sales and achievement and in that world. But I would say like money, like I've kind of flip-flopped the opposite of like now. And I don't think like money is like a bad value to have. I think it's neutral until you put something on it like negative or positive. But yeah, I've like kind of disconnected from that a little bit, and more like entrepreneurial, like creativity is more important to me in that spirit
Okay.
of business. Yeah, what about you? Your parents' values that you disconnected from and connected.
Yeah.
I use my dad. He's passed away, so it's a little easier to say stuff about him.
Well, my parents are listeners. And, like with everything, with values, nor good nor bad, right? They just are.
Yeah.
And when we can own them without any apologies, that's like our true power. But I think one that I took from my parents was they really wanted to do things the right way, like very conscientious.
Yeah.
I would still consider myself conscientious, but
Like there is a kind of a right way to do it, and
Yes.
we're going to do it the way that we think that it's
yeah,
the
like
right
following the rules.
way. Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's been an interesting one as I like reflect on myself and being an entrepreneur now, like being able, like, I want to create my own rules.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to follow anybody else's.
Yes, that's
Like,
so true.
I want to be in control. I'm going to do things like I want things to be right, but I want to have control.
Yes.
Well, okay, that might be different. Kind of segued into the control value, but
Yeah. What about like cultural values that like jump out to you? Like just what are some of them in general, I guess? We can think of. We probably should have thought about this before.
yeah. Oh, well, I mean, because I'm, body positive, like accepting of everybody. I think I've rejected that cultural idea that beauty is what is, prized.
Defines you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's-
Absolutely.
That's still a tough one. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a process.
Yeah.
For sure, because we're bombarded with like media and that cultural piece of
Yeah. Because I think
body's so important.
yeah, because it ties to acceptance, and we all want to be accepted, and I still want to be accepted.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I think I've done a lot of work on being able to understand that that's possible without always focusing on appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm like struggling even thinking of like cultural values, I guess.
About busier is better.
Yes, that's a good one. Yeah, like productivity. Yeah. I think like maybe like sexuality in a way, like it's really like it feels like a big deal in our media. And yeah, like I feel like really embodied and empowered in my own sexuality, but it looks like very different from like how the media portrays it.
Oh, like that you need to be like flaunting on your Instagram.
Yeah, just like hypersexual. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so yeah.
Flexing on your Instagram, is that what the cool kids say?
I don't know.
I don't know how to
We're
say
not
it.
cool.
No. Or anyways. Okay, so we'll try. Authenticity is a value.
Yeah.
We'll try.
Yeah.
Anyways, but how do we get onto that topic? Oh, because of the importance of being able to tease out and own
Yes.
your values.
Yeah. To know, like,
Yeah.
if you can see what your parents' values are, what some of the cultural values that surround you, like, you can kind of identify, like, what values you've taken on as theirs, and maybe where there's some, like, disconnect there, and
Yeah.
being able to choose your own at that point. Maybe you're still choosing the cultural
Yeah.
value or your family's values. And that's
Yeah.
fine, too.
Yeah, well, I think therapy is really valuable. I'm going to put a plug in, but I mean, just speaking honestly,
Yeah.
and being able to especially individuate from family. Because then I think about family and spirituality, sometimes really making it hard to be able to establish our own sense of self and
Yeah.
figuring out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it has like such a good place, right? Because like as a little kid, like you need guidance, you need direction, you need values,
Yeah.
you need structure. And so, yeah, it's easy now to like be adults and be like, oh, that hurt me. Like that value hurt me from my family or my religion or whatever it was. And not saying like any abuse, like that's not what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
But yeah, being able to acknowledge like the benefit of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I just think about a lot of my clients that are in their 20s that I work with, and you work a lot with that age as well. But part of the identity development is, I mean, like more or less, we're helping them figure out what their values are. We might not put a name to it always,
Yeah.
But don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, like kind of building that flexibility within it. I want to talk about like some specific values
Okay,
and
yeah.
like kind of defining them a little bit.
Oh, sure.
Do you want to talk about like just some of your values in general?
Do I want to talk about myself? Always.
Yes. Therapists,
No,
we don't get to talk very
yeah.
much.
Let's make it clear that in your session, we are listeners.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have mine on lock. When we talk about resources, I'll share a little bit more about, I use the life values inventory. And what comes up as number 1 is helping others, 2 is spirituality, 3 is achievement, 4 is belonging, 5 is health. Actually, I think health might be up there. Anyways, and then 6 is independence.
Okay. Will you do a brief like description of what each one of those things mean
Yeah.
for you?
Or what they mean for me.
Gosh, that's so like cool. Mine's gonna be way more disorganized and
That's okay.
This, like I love it. Well, no, it shows like you don't have to do it one way. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but go through and like kind of define each value for you.
Yeah. So, concern for others, helping others. I mean, as twos, helpers, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think for me, it's just, and it ties with spirituality as well, of like knowing that like my presence here isn't about me. Like ultimately, I believe that I have to take care of myself, and we can talk about like when values become overemphasized and how that can create distress. But ultimately, my strong belief then, it's not just about me. That my duty here on earth isn't to make just me happy. That like I come with a purpose to, and so that helps like guide what I'm doing.
There's something bigger out there
Yeah.
than yourself, and you're working with and for that.
Yeah. Achievement. So I would say now that it has become a healthier value. Hasn't always been. But yeah, just I want to do well. So I've changed that from like perfectionism to I just want to do well and show up and do the best that I can.
I love that. The best that you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Belonging, oh my gosh, yeah, that's super important. So, I mean, I think I want people to feel included, accepted, loved for who they are. And then I also, like, my relationships with others are very important. Health.
Yeah.
Health.
What does that look like? For
Yeah,
you?
I mean, I think in health, that has really expanded as well into looking at health in all parts of me beyond the physical, the emotional, the mental, but just, knowing that if I don't have my health, I don't have anything.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do the best that I can
Yeah.
to take care of that.
I love that. And I know we had talked a little bit about health can get like skewed, especially in our society about
Yeah.
like it can be overemphasized and almost turned into a bad thing. Like, oh, I'm doing this for my health.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How can that, I don't know, how do you see that like changing for people and turning into something that can be harmful almost?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, with anything in life, when we go to the extreme, and just you have to know your temperament, your personality, and be able to kind of taper that in a way that serves you. So I think a healthy alignment with health is just having it be flexible in knowing that it's not, just not one focus on like the physical, like the nutrition or the exercise. And then making sure you're balanced that, okay, yes, taking care of our health is important, but are you making sure other needs are being met?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I think any value can like turn into that
Yes,
as
exactly.
well. Was there any more?
It was independence.
Independence?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What does that look like for you?
Yeah. I don't want to be told what to do.
Yeah. Going back to that. Like
Yeah.
having a lot of autonomy
Yeah.
and
Yeah, but I mean, like really what is that about? Not just because I'm rebelling, but yeah, like almost like creativity, like ability to do the things where I feel like I can best help. Like when I think about like working for myself, right? It's because I want to be able to choose and be able to use my skill sets versus like be doing things, because I'm not like, what am I bad at? I mean, a lot of things, like scheduling.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. I'm a 2, so that's going to take me forever to decide what you're bad at. But yeah, it just made me think though, like for some people, like the opposite of that, like maybe what you're bad at is like being passive and being a follower and being told what to do. That may be a value for somebody else.
Yeah.
And like be kind of, and that's kind of, independence is glorified in our culture.
It is.
And it's kind of like an extrovert, you know,
Yeah.
like being outgoing or whatever. And so, yeah, I think that can be hard for people sometimes, is like really accepting, like my value is like being independent, or maybe it's kind of being like more passive and kind of following the rules in a way.
Yeah. I want to clarify, rules are good. People.
Yeah.
Now I feel like I'm apologizing for my value. Don't do that, people.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I
it is
think
what
it's
it
like
is.
a good like
Yeah.
back and forth, and
Yeah.
everybody's individual, and so
Yeah.
own your values. But yeah, just putting it out there for other people that may not,
Yeah.
connect to that.
But no, you make a good point too, because thinking about like cultural influence, like obviously here independence is prized.
Yeah,
and versus
in the
Eastern
Western,
cultures,
absolutely.
right.
That's a good point, for sure.
Anyways, enough about me. What are your values?
Yeah, I haven't done this in a while, so I'm just like on a whim gonna share what I remember them to be. So one of my big ones, like per Brene Brown, is authenticity. And I think it just goes along. I can be like more of a people pleaser. And that can like get me feeling like really down, like if I'm not like doing what's best for me ultimately. So being authentic in the sense of like throughout my life, in my relationships, like sharing who I am with somebody, allowing them to share who they are with me, and like really not apologizing for that. And that's hard to do.
Yeah.
It's so hard to do, to like
Yes.
live in that value.
Yeah. How have you felt like you've grown in that? Or how have you been
Yeah,
able to-
I feel like it's more like an up and down, like I really notice it whenever I am not being authentic with myself.
What do you notice? You said like getting down on
Yeah.
yourself. What does that mean?
I think feeling like probably like critical of myself, like really doubtful of myself, feeling depressed, feeling anxious. Yeah, if you're not being yourself, it's like just kind of a facade you're living, it feels like.
Yeah. Then if you're subject to trying to make everybody else happy, which is an impossible task,
Yes, it's impossible.
then you're always going to fail.
Yes, absolutely. And so, yeah, I can really feel when that one doesn't align. Another big one for me is connection. So like people in my life are just so important. Like my family, my friends, my partner, like, I don't know, they're just like my core. It's like more, I don't know, it just feels like the most important thing. So making sure I'm making them that looks like making them a priority. Making sure if I haven't seen somebody in a while that I connect with them or talk to them and have real like authentic conversations, like not just, hey, how are you? Good. How about you? But like, what's really going on in your heart?
I think you do a really good job of that.
Yeah. Sometimes too good.
Yeah.
I feel like,
I feel the pressure to keep up.
yeah. Which leads into my next value of fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's a fun value.
I mean, yes, that's like so important to me because I can't
Yeah.
get stuck in like share your heart with me. What's deep and dark in there, and let me share what's deep and dark in my heart.
That's why we watch The Bachelor.
Yes, yes. Trash TV is where it's at. That's my fun. That's what a concrete example of that value is.
In travel, yeah?
Yeah, travel and adventure, like I do a pottery class,
Yes.
so, yeah, trying to keep some like levity in life.
Can I adopt half of that value?
Yeah, I'm already adopting half of your values, so
cool.
I love them. But I do want to share some other values that maybe we just didn't mention.
Yeah, to like spark some
Yeah,
inspiration.
and we can post this on our Instagram and show notes and all that fun stuff too. So I'll let you look here and see. So one that I see right now is flexibility, like just being able to like go with the flow and kind of be easy and smooth and, and life's problems and whatnot. I think acceptance is a big one that, you can't do all the values. I think it's good to have maybe 5 or so to really hone in on. But
if achievement is one of your values, then you're going to want
I'm going to do all these.
15.
Yeah. But acceptance of a situation, because what we know is pain times resistance equals suffering. So the opposite of that is acceptance. What can I accept, or what can I do about this situation?
Yeah. I think yoga is a beautiful way of aligning with that value.
Yeah.
I can't see.
You can't? Okay. Yeah. I'll give a couple more. So assertiveness, being able to be bold and courageous and respect yourself as well as respecting somebody else, but be able to give your opinion and tell it how it is. So maybe that being a value if it's something that you struggle with, or if you're good at it already. Gratitude, being able to kind of come back to this place of what are we thankful for? That's a big one for you. How do you live that out?
It is. And I've said before, I think I've overused it and abused it. Really?
In what way?
Yeah, by, in a way, kind of settling and not, and I actually think this is a family value. Now I think about this, of not asking for more or wanting more, giving myself permission to want more, in a way of I need to be happy with exactly how things are. So see how it can kind of get twisted?
Yeah. Yeah, it's on a spectrum for sure. I love looking at things on spectrums.
Yeah. But I also really value it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we get what you're saying. Yeah. Another one I like that kind of relates to fun is humor. Humor being an aspect of your life, being able to laugh. We know that's good for your mental health to laugh. And sometimes it's hard to go into that place.
Yeah, for sure. I always wished I was a little funnier. But I can laugh.
You can laugh. Yeah. You're good at that. You're good at that. I know, and you do make me laugh sometimes.
Sometimes.
Trust, honesty, mindfulness. I think I've said this before on another episode, but some of my values, when I'm at my desk, when I'm at my chair, talking to people, counseling, is authenticity and being present. And I know if I've done those two things, then I've done a good job, which allows me to, sometimes people leave my office crying or upset or mad at me. So I'm able to really connect myself and know okay, I'm right. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Just another way to use values.
Yes. I'm so glad you brought that up. That I think when there's a lot of anxiety about doing things right, that coming back to our values is a way to kind of help provide some sort of reassurance without it needing to be an outcome-based sort of result that we're looking for.
Yes.
Or a measure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then with, I guess, leading into how we can set goals with our values, I think of spirituality, being a value, something bigger than yourself. So whether that's a specific religion or not, you can set goals based on your values. So I don't know, that might look like praying every day, meditation, going to church, having community. I don't know. Do you set any goals based on your values?
I don't think I've consciously done that.
Yeah.
I think I'm aware of when I feel disconnected, and then I'm just in tune enough now of oh, it's that because I haven't been making friendships up, or that sense of belonging a priority, or I haven't been praying in the mornings,
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. So for you, it's kind of almost ingrained into you that you know
it's not so formal.
Yeah. I like formality in that sense of like setting goals.
Yeah. You do like your to-do list.
Yes. So
Just so you can check them off.
Whoever you relate to more. I mean, either one's not bad or good. But yeah, and you can also like set these values like in specific areas of your life, like in love, like that sense of like family or your partner, people in your life, like I said, connection. It can be fun. It can be compassion, forgiveness, whatever that is, or work. It can have values in that category. So it can be cool to sit down and like kind of write out little boxes of like what are your values in relationships, in work, in health, mental, emotional, spiritual health, wellness. That being one category in itself.
Yeah, and I think it's so important for those in relationships to, right, like be aware of each other's values.
Yes.
So that, you know, because they say most of the long-lasting relationships, not like every partner has to be the same, but like the main core values align.
Absolutely.
Have you done like this with your boyfriend?
We haven't like sat down and like talked specifics about this. But I think for both of us, like spirituality is a big value and is important to us. Adventure is like his love language. And I love it too. It's like fun for me. So yeah, I think that we really align on, like a lot of things, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Notice I said the boyfriend. I'm not calling him out, but he is a big supporter of the podcast. If you are listening, we appreciate you.
yes. Thank you.
Yes. So when thinking about how listeners can use and identify their values, you were talking about kind of a strategy that you use with your clients, like kind of narrowing down a list. Do you want to talk more about that?
Yeah. And tell me if I shared more with you than I'm about to share right now, because I don't remember specifically. But yeah, I'll have them go through, like you can Google values, like a list of values. There's a lot of different people that do this value work.
Russ Harris is a good one, though.
Yeah, through
He's like the originator.
Yeah. And so being able to like look at a list of values and go through and list out the ones that are very important to you, maybe somewhat important to you, not important to you, kind of list out that way. And then the ones that are super important, you can kind of narrow those down. So go through them one time and pick as many as that fits for you. And then go through them another time and like which ones overlap, which ones maybe were the not very important to you, and narrow it down in that way so that you can like, maybe it's something concrete and you can write them down and have them on a postcard in your wallet or on your phone. Or,
I have mine on my phone.
Well, I wondered how you like
List them off.
Yeah, knew them so quickly.
So ready.
Yeah. Yeah, so doing it that way, like a Post-it note on your mirror, like whatever it is, so you can reconnect to them on a regular basis. And I do a life audit like once a quarter or every 6 months, and kind of reevaluate them. It's different questions. Maybe we can do another podcast on what my life audit is, but yeah, it's basically like values work, like figuring out if they have shifted or if I'm not connecting to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
Can I add something to this?
Yeah.
Once again, when it, it is hard to tease out whether like the value really is yours or it's like a should value.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Don't shit on yourself.
Yeah. I think, for us as yoga teachers, we always turn to the body as a source of wisdom. Yeah. So being able to like hold or like just read that value and then, really tune into your body. Does it feel right? If you have to like question if there's like a sense of unease, then like let it go.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would say for those that are overthinkers, not like I know any, but you could also put a time limit on this as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
don't make it hard.
Yeah.
Like it's supposed to be very simple and you can change it, you know? And I've had some clients like do this on their own, which I thought was really cool, but like they would pick out their values and they kind of created their mission statement.
Ooh.
based on their values. And it's very simple, you know, just like you would have a business.
It's like your life manifesto.
Yes. Yeah.
Ooh. I want to create one now.
I know. So shout out to my client who did that.
Yeah. I would love that.
Yeah. But yeah, is there anything else that you think would be helpful?
In regards to
sharing
about values,
yeah.
Know them. Know that it's a process of becoming connected, and that at times we get away from them, and that's okay. Don't judge yourself, but just know that you can always come back to them.
Yeah.
Right? Like by being able to ask yourself, okay, how is this showing up in my life? What are the steps I'm willing to take so they have a presence in my life? And when those steps feel hard, like reach out to somebody.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, somebody who shares similar values to you.
Yeah.
Sure.
Should we talk resources?
Yeah.
Okay, so we mentioned Russ Harris. He is known for the book The Happiness Trap.
Yes, that's a great one.
Yes, and his work with acceptance and commitment therapy. And then, I just spaced the other guy. I'll Google and we'll add it to the show notes. Yeah. But the Values Card Sort by Russ Harris, I'm pretty sure. Like if you're one that's, I guess maybe a little more tactile, I think that's a good.
Yeah. Being able to, is it values on cards, and
yes.
you can kind of put them out and decide like what's a value of yours, basically. I love that. Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, know what your values are, and if you feel unaligned or are having any mental emotional distress, like that would be a great point in time to like rethink your values. Like, am I in line with them, or are my values off?
One more point too.
Okay.
I don't know if we've covered this, but if it's important, we'll reiterate that. But you don't have to be necessarily aligned to all your values 100% at all times.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So no need to like perfect the values.
Yeah.
And like stress out about like, oh, am I in alignment with this today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It can show up in different aspects of your life. Yeah.
So
I like that. Okay. Well, I think that's it. Let us know what you think of this episode, and if you want more information on it. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much for listening to the Everyday Therapy Podcast. Don't forget to rate and review us on iTunes and share with your friends. It really helps us reach more people.
we might only record once a week, but we're with you every day.